Welcome to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. This is Season 4, Episode 17. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. And joining us today is Jackson Bezdek. Jackson, how are you doing tonight after KU's big win?
Man, boys, thanks for having me on. This is great. My heart is racing like crazy right now. I mean, I think I had a little bit of confidence going into halftime. Kansas was going to turn it around. Then they did, and then it seemed like they didn't again. So the last 5 minutes was a real whirlwind.
Yeah. I mean, DeJuan Harris shooting the way he did.
My goodness.
The first half, Rob Dillingham totally taking over the game, and then Hunter Dickinson just being the closer that Kansas needs. Jonathan, what did you see out there?
I thought Kansas did a really good job making it a half-court game. And if you're like, they don't have the horses to get out and run with a Kentucky team with as much talent as that. Dillingham was phenomenal. Like, I always kind of thought Kansas was. I shouldn't say I always thought. At halftime, I thought Kansas was going to get back into it because I didn't think Kentucky was going to hit 9 threes and a half again. But Kansas did. Like, Kentucky punched him in the mouth to start the half, and I really thought it might have been over. And then Kansas just, fought back. I really liked when Bill decided to put Hunter on the perimeter and put KJ Adams in the post because I think just gave him a better chance to rebound the ball and, like, on the offensive end specifically, I should say. And, KJ just dominates down there. He's so strong. He's so athletic. And, like, putting him in space in the low post is where he's going to operate best.
Jackson?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think another reason that Self did that specifically tonight is KJ creates such a matchup problem just in general, but especially against this Kentucky team where Mitchell's their biggest guy at 6'8". He has to go out and get Dickinson. Now you put KJ in the low post. Kentucky has a bunch of 6'4", 6'5" guards around there that can't keep up with KJ. And that's why we saw him get so many easy buckets in the second half. But to your first point about the talent, absolutely. I mean, I think halfway through the first half, it was very evident who had the most talent on the floor, and that was absolutely Kentucky. But, I mean, Kansas did a nice job making adjustments in the second half, making those three-point shots contested and a little bit more difficult. I mean, Reeves finished 3 for 17 from three. That's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he shot the ball.
Yeah.
A lot.
He does that.
That's like, there are some days where it's going to be really good. There are some days where it's going to be really bad. I did not expect Kentucky to just come out firing the way they did. I came out of this game very impressed with Kentucky just in general. I think once they get Bradshaw, Kingsley, and Zvonimir Ivisic back, they're going to be doing a lot better in terms of keeping up with guys like Dickinson and Adams in the front court, just making things work. But Kansas concerned me, but at the end of the day, Bill Self is the best coach in the country. Hunter Dickinson is an All-American for a reason. DeJuan Harris is a top 5 point guard in the country for a reason. Just overall, Kansas out-Kansased at the end.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the concern you're kind of feeling with Kansas is it's very much a 4-horse race for them right now with McCullough and DeJuan, Adams, and Dickinson. I actually liked what I saw out of Furphy tonight. I thought in the time he got, he just didn't hit his shots. That'll come. But, I mean, neither El Marco nor Timberlake really took a stride there either. So that fifth starting spot at the 2 guard is absolutely still up for play. And I think when you're trying to say like Kansas is far and away the best team in the country, it's kind of tough to say that when one of your starting positions is completely up in the air.
Yeah, I never once in the offseason had Kansas at or really even close to considering them as the number 1 team in the country. I had them at number 5 preseason, and I see no reason to move them up right now. Right now, my top 5 would be Tennessee, UConn, Purdue, Creighton, Kansas.
Yeah, I think they're going to need more out of their bench, obviously, as the season goes on, for sure. I actually I was kind of impressed, and I know he only played the final 4 minutes because like Bill didn't really have a choice, but like I think
Mhm.
Mario McDowell was pretty
Oh,
good
yeah.
in those
Yeah.
4 minutes. Like at least like he'll go out there and guard, which is
Mhm.
like not something that a lot of the Kansas bench players will usually do. But yeah, this is a thin team. This is a team that being healthy is going to be really important for
And
them.
it's not just that. Like Kentucky, there's help on the way.
Mhm.
Kansas doesn't
Right.
have that.
Yeah, that's our
like-
team.
So Kansas won the game. Kansas is the better basketball team, but I leave today feeling a lot better about Kentucky going forward than I do about Kansas, even though I'm quite sure that Kansas is better at basketball.
No, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's the experience and the fact that there's 4 seniors out there for Kansas pretty much at all times kind of gives you a comforting feeling. And then you look over at Bill Self and you're like, okay, I feel like this team is going to win the game. But I mean, I love what we saw out of McDowell tonight. Like, if you're going to get 0 out of your bench, then why not play the best defender out of the group? You know, it almost makes too much sense. And I hope he gets more run as the season progresses. Bill has called him in the past kind of like a Travis Relaford type player for Kansas, if you guys recall him back in the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love that
I
comment.
remember Trevor too.
I mean, yeah. And Travis will go out, right, obviously. But Travis will go out and guard, and he did that for 5 years. He was one of the first Perry Ellises that Kansas had. So, and I would love McDowell to take up that
They
mantle.
still have Perry Ellis. He's in his 100th year.
Yeah, he's got this knee thing right now. So that's our one guy we're missing, and Kentucky's got the 3. So
yeah. The other thing, Kansas is only runs 10 scholarship players. So okay, 9 because one of them is Zach Clements.
Who's redshirting, I think.
he is. Yeah,
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting at what you were thinking I was getting at.
I see.
Although I was half getting at that. And like Parker Brown, like he's kind of only on the roster for nepotism.
He's serviceable. He made some nice plays tonight, but
There's better options out there than Parker Brown for what they need him to do. He's there because of his brother.
yeah, and a lot of that is Coach Self knows that he can get Parker to learn the system and to buy in completely, rather than go get a player who's way better than Parker talent-wise, but Parker's already familiar with everything. He knows that he's got to buy in the Self system.
I get it.
Just kind of made some sense, but were there better options out there talent-wise? Yeah, absolutely. And
But
that
like,
was evident tonight.
AU is one of the thinnest teams of all of the contenders in the country.
I would completely agree with you.
Tennessee goes really deep. UConn,
Purdue,
I mean,
all deep.
UConn's deep with Samson Johnson, with Ball, Diarra, the freshman. When you Purdue, Lance Jones can come off the bench. They have guys that were getting 12, 15 minutes a game on last year's team that are all back. And then
Dillingham's coming off the bench, and he's one of the best players in the country. Honestly.
He won't be for much longer.
He shouldn't be ever.
Kentucky's kind of deep too in the backcourt.
They've got dudes, you know. I'm
Except
watching
I will
tonight.
say today, DJ Wagner was horrible.
Yeah, he was kind of a 0. He
Not
was
a 0. He was a negative.
Yeah, he can go there. Yeah, he can be a negative.
I like Adu Tierra.
Justin Edwards as well, by the way. No, also
another negative. I saw I really liked Justin Edwards the first time I watched him. Then the second time I watched him, I didn't really like him. And the third time I watched him, I really liked him again. And then, like, I kind of took some time off, and I was like, is the idea of Justin Edwards better than the player Justin Edwards? And that's kind of where I am right now.
I'll be interested later to look into the lineups Kentucky used and how frequently they used him, because one of the things I said about this team in the offseason was Justin Edwards will not be useful for this team unless he's playing with Rob Dillingham on the floor. Like, he needs somebody else.
The good news there, by the way, is that Rob Dillingham's probably going to end up playing 30-plus minutes a game.
He's the only point guard they have. And we knew that.
And by the way, way better than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there were some moments tonight where, like, you look at it and you're like, okay, I see where this kid's negatives are, because he's out of control sometimes, but he does a lot more good things than bad things.
Only 3 turnovers in 3 games for Rob.
Mhm.
So it's been fine.
On the defensive end, he's still a little wild. I mean, he fouled out tonight. He's not playing very sound defense, I wouldn't say.
There were 2 moments tonight where Rob did something.
If he can be in control and play 30 minutes a game for Kentucky, that's the best Kentucky team.
There were 2 moments tonight where Rob made really crucial mistakes that I thought, like, those are teachable moments. One of them was picking up the really bad foul, trying to go for that steal to get his 4th. And then the other one was at the end of the first half when he was kind of out of control and turned it over, and Kansas got the last shot, and Dickinson buried a 3 to cut the lead from 10-7.
All right, Jackson, here's my question for you.
All right.
In March, who is the 5th starter for Kansas?
I think it's Elmarko Jackson, because I think at that point he's developed and solidified himself as the lottery pick that so many people are talking about him right now. I mean, we have not seen anything close to that yet.
I like him a lot. I don't see lottery pick.
Right. We have not seen that yet.
No, I've never seen lottery pick, even though I like him a lot.
But I think
we'll get to a lottery pick a little bit later in the show. Jonathan,
I would go him or Furphy. I think Timberlake's better suited coming off the bench just by the way he plays, but also because he was 0 for 13, it felt like tonight. I mean, dude was throwing up bricks.
0 for 4.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, Cam Spencer's better. What can I say?
I think if Elmarko Jackson is starting right now, like, he will probably be the starter in 4 months, because
I agree.
He's only going to get better. He's really athletic, and we didn't get to see that tonight. So
yeah, we talked about him with Pat a little bit last night.
He doesn't show it at all. He hasn't played like that yet. It's kind of mind-boggling. I don't know why we're not seeing it, but he hasn't shown it at all.
Elmarko,
shows up on the
Elmarko's weird because he slows himself down by design to kind of make his explosiveness stand out more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I really thought, like, my main question for him was, like, is that by design or is it just laziness? So far, I don't have a clear answer.
Yeah.
Now, he's a freshman.
Right.
It'll take time. If it takes until the middle of sophomore or even junior year, that's fine. But right now, coming in, and this is a bad freshman class, he's still one of the better ones out there. It's going to take time. But if Kansas can win this game without getting a ton from Elmarko, and with KJ fouling out.
McCullough didn't shoot great. McCullough played well. He didn't shoot great, though.
Right. And KJ, by the way, first 3 games of this KJ's last 5 games, 13, 14, 12, 14, and 16 points. This is not a guy who was this is not a guy who down the stretch of the Big 12 season was a double-digit scorer, and he's been in double digits each of his last 5 games.
He's a threat to score now. He really is. And Bill wants him to be. Like, he honestly needs him to be when, you're not getting it from Elmarko. And DeJuan tonight was kind of caught lightning in a bottle there. That was ridiculous. He's not going to be doing that. So Kansas isn't going to get a whole lot of scoring out of their 1 and 2. So they really need KJ to be a threat to score double figures every single game.
Yeah, and something that I said last year, and I do still believe partly, is that Jalen Wilson was the most overrated star in the country. And
I don't hate that.
And I consistently said that he was like their 3rd or 4th most important player. But looking at how Kansas scored 89 points basically with it sort of validates that, but it also feels wrong because they scored 89 points, but I still have concerns about Kansas's offense and where they're going to get scoring from consistently.
Yeah, because, I mean, 15 of those are just random Hunter Dickinson cleanups that it doesn't even register while you're watching that they're actual real points because they look so easy.
Yes.
So that's where such a big bulk of those points are coming from. It's not coming from super great offense and guys breaking each other down. This Kansas team is very good at passing the ball within their offense, but in terms of being able to go one-on-one and go get a basket, Kentucky has 7 guys who can do it. Kansas has 1, and he's 7'1". There's no guard on Kansas. It's supposed to be Marco, but he's not it right now. There's no guard on Kansas that Bill can be like, all right, I need a bucket. Go get me a bucket. We don't have that.
And that's what I say. Like I call those guys, Jonathan. What do I call them?
FU scorers.
Yes, FU scorers.
100%.
The number 1 FU scorer in the country right now is Terrence Shannon Jr.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he gave it to us in the exhibition game. That was just a little preview of what he's going to do for the next few months.
And
if Antonio Reeves keeps shooting like this in big games, we're going to have to start calling him an FU shooter.
He's shooting himself off of that list.
No, we just have to change the word. It's an FU shooter and not FU
I can't
scorer.
believe he missed 14 3-pointers in one game.
I can't believe.
Hey, shooters are going to shoot.
I thought Chris Bell took a lot of threes tonight.
I will say that one thing I noticed tonight, the last 2 years, the way Michigan used Hunter Dickinson made him empty calorie. Like the empty calorie allegations against Hunter Dickinson was because of how Michigan was using him. Like the first time Kansas came out tonight and they had Hunter screen, I think they had him screen and then like they had him screen and seal, and they did it like 3 or 4 times with him to get him deep post position.
Yes,
that's the way you have to use Hunter Dickinson, not the way Michigan did, where they were just throwing the ball on the block.
Is it surprising to anybody that Michigan plays their best basketball when a 25-year veteran head coach who coached one of the greatest teams in college basketball history is coaching them instead of the Fab Vibe?
Yeah, right.
Is it any surprise?
All my K-State friends think he's a layup merchant, and it's like, well, you just watched the Michigan games. You haven't even watched what he's doing in this offense yet.
Layup merchant,
right? What does that even mean? What's a layup merchant?
What's a layup merchant?
Don't you have to be good to get layups?
So I mean, he's 7'1", like
empty calorie stat, layup merchant, all this crap.
The empty calories, I understand. Layup merchant?
Think of I'm excited to see the rest of the season. Everybody start to talk about his passing because he's a really good passer, and the way that Kansas, specifically KJ Adams, cuts off of him is going to be super, super lethal.
It's something I said earlier tonight was it's incredible how likable a player can get when they're playing against Kentucky.
So true.
So in about 2 weeks, Kansas will host UConn.
Yeah. And
that will put Donovan Clingan and Samson Johnson against Hunter Dickinson. It will put UConn's backcourt against KU's backcourt. KJ Adams is probably going to have to deal with Caravan, and that's a matchup that I am really excited about. We're a couple weeks away, and that's at Allen Fieldhouse. But, like, that is going to be just such a great game.
Yeah.
Game of the year.
I think that I don't know if there's a better front court matchup in this season, like in a game. I don't know if we're going to see one. I think this might be the best one out of any game we're going to see this year.
It really will come down to who picks up 2 fouls in the first half.
Yeah. It's and this is where Kansas not being deep is terrifying with that. Because if it's Hunter, then UConn's going to roll out of Allen Fieldhouse up 17 points, and that's going to be really frustrating.
Well, not for me.
Anyway.
For me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kansas goes to Maui. Okay. Honolulu. Right. Still getting used to that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the expectation is to win the tournament.
Yep.
It's deep. Especially with the draw they have.
It's such a great tournament. Hold on.
Only one team gets to play Chaminade, and
that's
hey.
You look at it every year. Who's playing Chaminade?
We'll get to play them in the 7th place game.
Yeah, you will.
Um,
Don't forget what I said. Tennessee 64, Syracuse 42.
hey, give
Wow.
Tennessee a little bit more credit for their
Yeah, no,
offense,
Tennessee
and
scores a
give
lot more
Syracuse
now.
a little bit more credit for the pace. 81-63.
That's fair. But yeah, Kansas.
Anyway.
Like the thing about Maui is I don't really use MTEs to measure like who the best teams are, but what it does tell you is how much depth teams have because you got to play 3 games in 3 days with these bigger MTEs. And if Kansas can go and win Maui with the depth they have, like as long as they're healthy, I won't really be concerned about that.
How many walk-ons does Kansas have?
I mean, technically like 7, but
How many of them do we see against Chaminade, and how much?
you'll see Jankovic, who's been there for a few years now. He's a walk-on.
Here's my question: If you
really-
sneak on the team plane and get a jersey, would Bill Self put you in the second half?
I will tell you, I know for a fact I can take at least 2 of the walk-ons on the team currently. So yes, I do think he'd put me in. I do think he would put me in.
You and Rosengard aren't that far down the depth chart.
Rosengard is probably a few spaces lower.
Oh, for sure. Trust me, I've seen him play basketball.
Considering his ability to put ball in hoop, but yeah.
So, and then it's UCLA, and then it's the presumably winner of UCLA Marquette.
I would like to lean Marquette there, but
yeah, I don't know if UCLA is quite ready for that yet.
Yeah. Jonathan, I will not forget when you were texting me about how UCLA was going to win that tournament.
Did I actually say that?
I think you did.
I'm picking Tennessee to win it. I already did this oversword.
By the way, it's UC Irvine 47, USC 41.
Whoa.
No, UCLA might be a team that could win that tournament if this was played like in 4 months. And like
I hope that.
Well, good news. There is a tournament played in 4 months.
Yeah,
a pretty big one.
That's
and
my
if they play
one.
like they did against Lafayette, for them it might be called the NIT.
They got a lot of options, multiple tournaments you can get to.
Yes, the CBI, which bracketology should be coming soon.
Great one. I hope that is Tyler Kolek. What's his injury status?
He played tonight and looked good.
Okay, because I mean, I don't want to play Marquette, and he's not 100%.
Yeah, we'll get into them. We'll get into them in a little bit. Were you able to catch the Duke Michigan State game?
Yeah, I caught a good chunk of it.
You want to talk about that? We
can talk a little bit about it. Yeah.
All right. So I didn't watch any of it. Jonathan, go.
So yeah, this was on the side TV at first because Tennessee was playing and I was obviously covering them. But from what I saw, like very, very sloppy start to the game. Like neither team could put the ball in the basket. Every big media talking head on Twitter, all you would see is like these teams are 4 for 19 from 3. They've turned it over a billion times. Duke finally got some rhythm in the second half. Proctor was doing a better job getting into gaps, and Caleb Foster kept getting left open. He was really good. It was funny because I texted my dad and my brothers in the first half and said, like, Caleb Foster right now is unplayable in these games, unfortunately. And then in the second half, I texted them and said, how do you take Caleb Foster off the floor right now? So
I will say, guilty of something similar. I was texting you about how Chris Bell was unplayable, and then he led the comeback.
But yeah, it was a really good night. The Champions Classic, we always get breakout freshmen because obviously Duke and Kentucky are always pretty loaded with them.
Last year it was Grady Dick.
And these other, like Michigan State and Kansas, like they don't usually have great scouts on these freshmen. They're playing their third game of college basketball. Mm-hmm. So
sometimes the first.
Yeah, it used to be the first game of the freaking season. So,
good performance by the way for Malik Hall tonight.
Yeah, he was just kind of catching and backing down Mitchell or Filipowski, whoever.
But that's really.
By the way, Ryan Young great tonight. So Duke Twitter loses once again to me. Yeah, Arizona was a terrible matchup for them. The guy who was guarding him was way more athletic than him and was the same size as him. He can't play in those games, but 90% of games he will be really effective when he's on the floor. He had 8 points and 7 rebounds tonight, and it felt like every time they took him out, Michigan State would go on a run.
And the big issue that remains for Michigan State is just that they can't make a shot. They couldn't really get to the line. They just offensively tonight, total disaster for Michigan State.
I saw a Joey Hauser to Brady Manick comparison tonight for Michigan State.
I also saw like a Michigan State to UNC comparison from somewhere. I think this Michigan State team is maybe a little bit deeper than what that UNC team was. But yeah, they also just don't have Armando. And
also, I know we talked about this with Greg the other night, and he kind of talked heavily about it. AJ Hoggard 1 for 8 tonight. Did not bring
the entire AJ Hoggard.
What's up with their guards? This isn't their first time around the block.
Tyson's great.
Tyson was good tonight. He was very good tonight. And he's really, from the games I've watched, the only kind of guy trying to initiate any offense. What is going on with them?
I don't know.
These are experienced guys who have played big games.
AJ Hoggard has been the same player since the start of his sophomore year.
I'll tell you what, I think Michigan State needs to take a long, hard look at their identity as a team. Take 1,000 threes in practice every day. Just figure that out. Get out of the shooting slump. Because I don't wanna like count them out until they start to make some shots.
Sam, you know that you and I aren't very high on this guy. How bad does it have to get in the front court before they try playing Xavier Booker more?
Honestly, I wouldn't be against seeing him. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at what their upcoming schedule is.
It's not easy.
Okay, Butler on Friday.
I do not like them against Arizona. Whoa, yikes.
No.
Arizona's going to have a day with them.
That game's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
And then they got
Palm
Big
Desert,
Ten games.
California, not Palm Springs. It is at Acrisure Arena, which is not in Palm Springs. It is in Palm Desert. Georgia Southern. So, I mean, the games against Alcorn State and Georgia Southern, we should see 20-plus minutes of Xavier Booker. Get him as many reps as possible.
Also, like, I know enough of this Trey Holloman and Jeremy Fears playing. Pick one and play them. Like, Ant Wright said it tonight. They're playing too many guys right now.
Yeah. They're still trying to figure out what their best lineups are. And honestly, they're at this point in time, they are just looking for any offense.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've already played in two really, like a really close overtime game and then this game against Duke. So they've needed to put the present over the long term more in the early season than you'd want to. So they haven't really been able to try and find what their best lineups should be. They're just trying to throw shit out there and say, all right, maybe you can make a three.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any path for them other than, I mean, even I've liked a little bit of what I've seen from Cohen Carr just in terms of like energy, but barring a major breakout from somebody off their bench right now, I don't really see a path to where this team's consistently ranked in the top 15 and 20 all year, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think I see that. My thing is though, this is not who, like I know you said AJ Hoggard's been the same player since whatever. This is not who AJ Hoggard is.
No,
AJ Hoggard is not a guy.
But like in terms of like, he's really inconsistent. Also, Jackson Kohler's hurt right now. I think he's coming back at some point in December. I suspect he's going to play a lot, which I think is good because he'll be their most consistent big when it comes to low post scoring.
Which is kind of a problem.
It still doesn't solve the issue that they have 4 centers and none of them can guard.
Yeah. They just need to find a way to like again with Xavier Booker, in 3 years he'll be a great player. But right now, not yet. They need to get him reps. Like Carson Cooper is pretty much a lost cause, like just not very good.
I didn't think he was bad tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
but like
actually.
he's not that. Yeah, he wasn't bad, but like he's not.
He gave them way, but he gave them way more than Sissoko did.
He was better, way better on the boards than Sissoko.
Yeah, but
I
like
was watching Sissoko,
but
kind
like
of wondering
Sissoko's getting
feelings.
worse every year.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Madi Sissoko is really good on aircraft carriers and terrible on any other court in the country.
That's his peak.
Yep.
He just dominated Gonzaga last year and then disappeared.
Yep. I mean, and Tyson's not going to just keep playing. Tyson's not going to keep shooting 61% inside the arc.
He's going to be exhausted by the end of December if he keeps playing like this, if they keep asking this much of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a New York guard, so those guys don't get tired. So,
right, yeah, he's a dog. He is.
But Michigan State is 1-2. I don't think it's like push the like absolute panic button but like definitely disappointed. But honestly, the James Madison loss, like, you kind of have to say it is what it is. It's gonna hurt them when it's a quad 3 loss in March, and they're docked a seed line for it, basically. But I don't think that game has a significant bearing on my overall opinion of them. Really, until they start to make shots, I'm not really forming a major opinion on them.
I don't know if they'll make shots.
Well, they're not going to shoot 16% from 3.
They might not,
That's true. But they're also missing a guy who hit basically 100 threes for them last year.
Oh no, I know. They lost an efficient 14 points a game. Like that's hard to replace. Were you guys able to catch any of Marquette, Illinois?
No,
I kind of had it on in the background.
Marquette, I mean, Marquette's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a really good win for the Big East. Just go on the road, tough place to play, and just gut out a win. Led for a pretty good portion of that game. Not all of it, but most of it. I just thought Marquette, I mean, they only turned it over 8 times. You go on the road to a team like Illinois that's long and athletic, and you only turn it over 8 times. That's something to note.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm so high on this Marquette team, is because I just trust them. I trust them down the stretch of games. I trust them in, down 3 minutes, down 2, but they are the game is shifting towards them. Like they just have multiple guys on their team that can settle a game down and can control the pace. And I mean, Tyler Kolek's probably the best guard in the country right now. What do you think?
I think he has a case.
Yeah, he has a case. I have some opinions there that I'm not sure I want to share publicly yet.
By the way, look, just box score watching this, 15 turnovers is not great for Illinois by any means, but the fact that only 2 of those 15 were from the guy who plays point guard is a little better. Shannon isn't going to turn the ball over 5 times every game. Hawkins Coleman Hawkins, as much as I hate him, isn't going to turn the ball over 5 times a game.
Yeah.
He might shoot 2 for 9 every game and 1 for 5 from 3, but he's not going to turn it over 5 times.
Yeah. I
Like-
thought
Coleman Hawkins has tools, but like eventually, I think people are just gonna accept that he's not that good of a
No,
basketball
the
player.
exhibition game that we played against them, he had 2 separate 6-minute stretches where I thought he was an All-American, and then the rest of the game he might as well have been the 8th man on the roster. It was
Coleman
cra-
Hawkins. That's what he
crazy
is.
to watch.
Another one game that I did have eyes on for a little bit was Wisconsin Providence, and Wisconsin. And how high is the panic meter for Wisconsin right now?
I mean, if you're gonna be playing Connor Essegian 6 minutes a game, like the panic meter should be pretty high. Like, and guard said it wasn't health related.
That's the thing that concerns me, because I do think that I kind of think it is health related. I think he's lying, but I'm not sure why he would lie about that. Overall, though,
like if AJ Store's not making shots, like they're not gonna win like games on the road like that.
No, and I mean Providence, though, as a whole, just was a vastly underrated team pretty much all off season, I thought. And it got to a point where I underrated them. I was high on them pretty much all off season, and then later in the off season, like towards when I was about to start ranking them, I moved them down. I should not have done that. This Providence team is really good. They're in a much better place than St. John's right now. They're in a better place than Villanova right now as well, I would say.
Really pissed that I left Pierre off my breakout list.
So at the moment, this is the fourth best team in the conference.
In a loaded conference too, by the way.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Butler either. I think Butler's been really impressive. I know they've played nobody, but Butler's not as bad.
We'll see him play Michigan State Friday.
Yeah. I don't think Butler wins that game, but I don't think Butler's bad.
I'd say Providence is 4th. I'd agree with that.
At the moment, yeah, but
yeah. I mean, there's a case for Villanova and then Butler and maybe even a Seton Hall. See what they do.
And I think eventually St. John's will get there. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
RJ Luis is hurt. That's obviously like not the main issue. It is an issue. There's a lot going on there. We talked about it last night. Other things that we noticed around the country today. Future lottery pick Trey Alexander, nearly a triple-double tonight. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. He's so good.
What was the final of that game?
92-84 Creighton.
Yeah, about what you would expect for a Creighton-Iowa game.
Creighton out-rebounded Iowa 38-30. Creighton hit 10 threes, and Ashworth hit none of them.
Sam, Cody Williams had 17 points tonight.
I pretend I don't see it.
6 of 9 shooting. We're going to ignore that. Pretend it didn't happen.
And again,
I think is Iowa could end up being one of these.
Brock Harding today, he played 8 minutes.
Iowa could end up being one of these teams that, they just kind of work their way into the NCAA tournament because we know they can score the ball, and other Big Ten teams fail to meet expectations.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Creighton today, even like not a good defensive performance at all. Definitely something to think about. But Creighton offensively, so far this year, what's their raw offensive rating this year? 137.6. Pretty good, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, I mean, 42% from 3 this year, 72% from 2-point shot. They've been so great. Just everybody seems like they're contributing.
Is this their year where they kind of like actually make some noise in March?
And they were like a second away from the Final Four last year. They made noise.
They haven't been to the Final Four though, and I know they were close last year, but they've been too talented to just not make it. I always feel like I'm super high on them beginning of the year, and then I kind of don't really watch a ton of Big East, and then I look up and they're a 5 seed, and I'm like, wait, why is Creighton a 5 seed? I thought
You
they
should
would
watch more Big East. It's the best conference to watch
league
in the country.
Dude, I know. I got too many Big 12 games to watch. I gotta watch West Virginia TCU at 8:00 on a Wednesday, man.
Yeah, we got Fraschilla over here.
It is now 57-53 UC Irvine with 5:16 to play in that game. Pac-12 network, because that's
of course
annoying. I'll just pull up the live stats feed. 59-53, 4:43 to play. Collier, by the way, 5 for 15 from the field. But
Sam, I know you're probably going to want to get into some mid-major stuff eventually. Jackson, you're free to go whenever, man.
I mean, if you want to stay and listen,
I gotta check out this USC box right now, because what is happening?
It's now 59-55. Anyway, to the game I was at tonight, Syracuse and Colgate.
Syracuse has exercised their demons.
That was that was a basketball game.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say.
What happened?
I actually did watch the first half of this game.
Please never watch Syracuse basketball again.
It was like, it was kind of funny. I mean, the game started kind of normally, and I'm like, oh, Colgate will make some shots.
It was so fast.
That's what Colgate does. They run, they gun. It's what they do. And then Syracuse hit this. Would they not score for like 4 minutes? It felt like
it was like 2 for 15 stretch.
Oh yeah, it sure. I mean, it felt like it when you were watching.
There was so Creighton hit their first 4 threes. The third one was a pull up by Braden Smith, and that was when I was like, "This is really happening again." They got out to a 16-9 lead. It was like 21-17, and then it got out to 38-25, and it was silent. Braden Smith was awesome in the first half. Ryan Moffitt was great in that first half as well. I mean, the vibes could not have been worse. I thought.
Can you explain Nakeem?
Syracuse didn't get a rebound until after the first media. Syracuse
didn't have very many chances to in the beginning. The first couple minutes.
Syracuse has a 7'4" basketball player who is physically incapable of getting a rebound. What are we doing?
How are you 7'4" and you get 3 rebounds in 19 minutes?
Honestly,
also better question. Why is he playing 19 minutes?
He played 19 minutes. It felt like he played like 6. I didn't notice him out there at all.
And he's 7'4". That's saying something.
I'm not noticing you.
He also wasn't in
foul trouble.
He took one shot.
He wasn't even in foul trouble. Just didn't play.
Yeah, because Syracuse started to press, and
so
they need Malik for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I see.
Overall, though, the first half, it was just chucking up threes, and Chris Bell was like 2 for 6 or something from 3 in the first half, and he had 0 assists, 0 rebounds, a couple turnovers. He barged right into a Colgate player for a charge, and I was like, "Get this guy off the floor." And he was the team's leading scorer in the first half, and I was like, "Get this guy off the floor. This is not helping." Because because my brain is thinking the defense is the issue. The issue was offense because nobody was penetrating. Nobody was trying to get to the basket for Syracuse. When Syracuse does try and get to the basket in the second half and they kind of put aside the 3-point shooting, Judah starts getting to the line. And really, Judah was the only one that got to the line a lot. But yeah, Syracuse is a better basketball team when Judah is getting to the line. Tonight, 14 free throw attempts, 23 points, 8 assists. That second half, the run started. Oh, the run started, I think, with McLeod getting a putback. And then Judah had it was 54-30. I think McLeod had a putback, and then Judah had a steal and slam. Let me make sure I have this right. Yeah, McLeod had a putback, then Judah had a steal, and then we got the under 16. And then Bell hit a corner three, and Judah drove went. It was this crazy tough layup. And then Bell got aggressive and he got to the basket. And I was like, lead was 13. And I'm like, oh shit, this is really happening. And then it got to 8. And it kind of hovered around there for a little bit. Got back to 12 and 10 and hung around that point. And then Syracuse went on a run and Judah was being aggressive again. And then the press started to force turnover after turnover. Colgate couldn't break it. Braden Smith goes out with cramps. And then Chris Bell hits that 3 to tie it up. And the Dome was going crazy. But what I will say, the fact that it took Syracuse going down 24 to Colgate for the Dome to really even make any noise is pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, you got the job done at the end of the day, and I think you can also look at there's multiple guys on your team that can go get a bucket, which is more than what I can say for my team.
Judah and JJ can get a bucket. JJ also had 4 assists today. Justin Taylor threw Syracuse a huge lifeline. When they were down 8, he hit a pretty immediate 3 to bring it back to 5 with like 4 or 5 minutes left, something like that. And it was a really important shot. I think the fact that and it wasn't even a great game for JT, but he's so important to what Syracuse does. I want to see more of this press because team's athletic enough to do it.
All right, I'm gonna hop out, fellas. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for coming, Jackson.
All right,
love it.
Thank you for coming on.
Have Jackson. A great rest of your night.
Of course. And there's 3 minutes 35 to play, and UC Irvine is now up 61-56 on USC.
What else are we talking about tonight?
Texas A&M, Henry Coleman with 13 points, 15 rebounds in a win against SMU.
Hell yeah.
A little late.
A little bit.
Toledo took out Wright State by 1 point tonight. It's a good game. It's a good game. Trey Calvin's really good.
Valley won 8-1 tonight.
There were 9 Valley games.
Yep, a couple of them were against non-D1s, but
those don't count.
Okay, then you take out those 3, and they went 5-1 tonight.
Yeah, UIC over Loyola.
That's still pretty good considering who the teams were that were playing the non-D1s.
Yeah, UIC beats Loyola. I mean,
hell yeah, Luke Yaklich, king of Chicago.
How concerned are we about Loyola?
Very. Like, Valentine really doesn't have that rotation figured out right now. Why is A. Medelican only playing 9 minutes exactly?
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned there. For Harvard, by the way, in a win against
Braden Norris is still not shooting well.
Yeah, Harvard today beat Northeastern by a significant margin. Let me find the score there. They won by 24. Malik Mack, the freshman, had 22, 6, and 3 on 11 shots. He's a star in the making in the Ivy League.
Bradley beat Tarleton by 23. 16 for Christian Davis, 18 for the freshman Almar at Latson.
All right.
Mason.
Temple beat Drexel by 2 on the road. They shot like crap, it looks like.
Pat was at that game, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
New Hampshire, oh my God, Clarence Daniels had 36 and 9.
Whoa. Who'd they play?
Brown. Whoa,
Okay.
whoa. They killed Brown.
Like, yeah, that's an 18-point game, and New Hampshire was a 6.5-point underdog.
That should not be happening.
That's nuts.
UMass Lowell over Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I saw that one. Is UMass Lowell just like straight up better than Georgia Tech?
Are the Riverhawks a serious threat to Vermont?
Like, this was a 4-point spread. This was at Georgia Tech. UMass Lowell just like might be better than them.
My question is: UMass Lowell the best team in the America East?
I don't know if I'd go best, but serious threat, yes, absolutely.
I mean, I think there's an argument to be made here for UMass Lowell as the best team in the conference. They play Arizona State on Thursday night.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Would I be crazy to just say UMass Lowell straight up going to win that basketball game?
I don't think you would be. Like,
all right. Vanderbilt picked up a win against UNC Greensboro tonight without
they're still hurt.
Without Tyron Lawrence and Van Allen. Lubin, Ezra Mannion had a good performance. Western Kentucky over Murray State. Just that happened.
Yeah, it's a Valley score. I didn't really see.
Let's talk. I mean, it's not an upset, but Santa Clara over Stanford.
By betting, it is. By how we consider these teams now, I don't think it is an upset.
It should never have been considered an upset.
23 for Adama Ball. 20. Dude, Carlos Marshall just keeps bringing it, man.
He's great.
17 for Johnny O'Neal.
Yeah, I mean, this team scores. They're so good offensively. They're good defensively too.
Stanford was missing Brandon Angel, but
Santa Clara is not like that far off. They're gonna be like, I would put them as like 10-point neutral dogs to like a Gonzaga, but
I'm really interested to see how they do in the Emerald Coast Classic next week.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they can compete with those teams.
Remind me.
Oregon. They open with Oregon, and then the other game is
they're beating Oregon.
The other game's Ohio State and maybe Seton Hall. No, Alabama.
Interesting.
I think they can play with those teams. I don't know. They're not better than those teams, but I think they can play with them.
GW over Hofstra tonight in DC. James Bishop with 17 and 3. Trey Autry with 10 and 6. Garrett Johnson with 15 and 8. I saw Sacred Heart got a win tonight against Holy Cross, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me pull that up.
Northwestern by the skin of their teeth over Western Michigan.
Yeah, Alex Sobel with 15, 13, and 4 blocks. That is the Division III National Player of the Year at Middlebury. Alabama, but just ekes out a 102-46 win against South Alabama.
17 for Sears, 12 points, 6 for 6 from the field for Pringle, 16 off the bench for Sam Walters.
Yes. Yes, that is correct. Cal State Northridge did beat Chicago State. That is unfortunate news.
That's bad.
Yes, it is disappointing. Chicago State shot 5 of 26 from 3. They got out rebounded 43-29. Not good. Not
You
good.
know who's like, granted they've played 3 not so good teams, but you know who's looked like pretty good to start the year?
Who?
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like 30-point win over Central Michigan, 39-point win over
By the way,
Mississippi
up to
State.
32 in Ken Palm.
Up 32 spots.
Up to 32.
Who is?
That's their ranking.
Oh, okay. Like they're physically up 2.32 adjusted efficiency.
No, they're up to 32. That's their ranking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, impressive. They've scored 80 in all 3 games, held their opponent under 60 in all 3 games. Played against the Little Sisters of the Poor, but
yeah, but you got to win the games, and
I mean, Texas State came in today 186th, and they lost by 40. So
maybe Porter's got it figured out.
Maybe he does, but
how's their schedule look?
UT Rio Grande Valley on Friday, and then
not good.
Iowa next Thursday.
That's part of a tournament. I forget who else is in that.
San Diego. I don't know who else is there.
I think Seton Hall's in it.
Oh, shout out, by the way, Danny Sprinkle in Utah State. Gray Osibor with 31 and 10 with 3 blocks, 4 assists for Utah State tonight. The Aggies were 77% from inside the arc against Southern Utah.
All right.
66-60. That is a huge 3-pointer for Devin Tillis. He's got 8 points, all of them in the second half for UC Irvine. They're up 6 with 37 seconds to go against USC.
Wow.
LaSalle over Bucknell, Colorado over Milwaukee. I kind of thought Milwaukee would put up a little bit better of a fight. But I think they'll be fine. I'm not concerned about Milwaukee. They put up a fight against Providence.
12-point win for San Diego State over Long Beach.
Jaden Ledee, with another big game.
Yeah.
He is now.
Saunders is starting for them?
By the way, Jaden Ledee right now is averaging 25 points per game.
Notable.
He has 75 points, and 11 plus 7 is 18 plus 10 is 28. He is averaging 9.3 rebounds and 25 points per game for San Diego.
By the way, just kind of interesting. Dutcher's playing a pretty thin bench.
Yeah.
Which is not his style.
They were deep last year. They lost Johnson, they lost Mensa, Seiko, Arope,
Bradley,
and Matt Bradley. So that's a lot of guys to replace. And they brought in Dixon Waters and Paul, and Jay Paul's not playing very much, and Trammell hasn't played much either. He's missed some. They got
some younger kids playing.
Yeah,
Saunders is starting for them,
and Hornery misses. Harrison Hornery misses the 3 for USC, and he fouls the Irvine guy. This is 1-1 for UC Irvine with a chance to basically ice the game with 13 seconds left.
Irvine's not bad, right?
I didn't expect him to be very good, though.
It's obviously a game USC should win even without Ellis, but
I did not. I mean, Irvine lost to San Jose State.
Yeah, well, San Jose State's a wagon.
Yeah, I didn't expect.
They're 1-1 in Ken Palm.
I did, but I honestly would have thought that was a little bit high if you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
But impressive win for them. They'll move up a good amount. I'm sure they'll get some recognition in the mid-major top 25, maybe. What else
Anything
happened?
else?
I'm sure there's something. Oh, UConn. Cam Spencer has arrived. 25 points. He hit 7 threes. Through 3 games for UConn. 24 3-point attempts, 4 2-point attempts. And he's also averaging 5 assists per game. So Cam Spencer is really good at basketball. Donovan tonight, 17, 5, and 3 in 23 minutes. His most minutes he's played this year, and also the most minutes he has ever played in any game in his career. 23 minutes.
What'd you say he had 17, 5, and 3?
Yes.
That's not 28.5.
He had 8. He was 7 for 8 from the field and 3 for 9 from the line. He is shooting 35% from the line this year.
Yikes.
Not good for a guy who's getting to the line for 65% of the 2-point attempts. He has a foul shot attempt.
He is not going to win National Player of the Year shooting 35% from the line.
No. And he shot 52% from the line last year. Like, that's not going to win National Player of the Year either.
He could win it shooting that.
Not really. You got to shoot
with how much he gets to the line, he can.
Shoot 60, and we'll say National Player of the Year. So, looks like UC Irvine is going to walk out with a win. Virginia over NC A&T. Leon Bond off the bench with 16 on 10 shots. FAU demolished Eastern Michigan.
Good ball club.
6 players in double figures, including Brennan Lorient. John L. Davis had 1 point. Elijah Martin had 8. And they had 6 players in double figures.
It's a different guy every night, man.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say that. It's different guys every night.
Yep. Final. UC Irvine 70. USC 60.
Congrats to Russell Turner and the Anteaters.
By the way, Cody Williams, congratulations on hitting your first college 3-pointer.
Let's go.
First of few. Mississippi State over North Alabama. Josh Hubbard with 12. Trey Fort with 9. Jimmy Bell led the way with 14. Loyola Marymount over Jackson State. Justice Hill, 23 points on 12 shots, 8 assists. Good job for him.
What are you gonna be tuned into tomorrow?
Yeah, that's the next thing that we got to discuss. Princeton Duquesne.
Yeah, Princeton Duquesne will probably be on my radar.
That's a big one
sure.
for me.
Cornell George Mason also.
Yeah. I'll have eyes on the MAC games as
I don't even want to watch the Rutgers Georgetown game tomorrow.
I'll have eyes on Canisius Cleveland State without Taj Stavesky and St. Peter's FDU.
Late games kind of suck.
That's really all we got tonight. I said this was going to be a quick show, and we went over an hour.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big slate.
It was. We had a lot to talk about.
We have the matchup of the Cinderellas next year, or not tomorrow, not next year.
Yeah, they've been marketing that.
St. Peter's FDU.
Yeah, they have.
I'm not talking about Louisville Coppin State as much as I want to.
Coppin State by what's the spread for that? Louisville
17. Is Louisville capable of beating anyone by 17?
Coppin State's really bad.
So is Louisville.
This show is over. See you on Thursday for more Brackets, Bubbles, and Bits. There's no show tomorrow night. Not a big enough slate.
Yep.
See you on Thursday.